Hey, what is up, DC20 community? Let's talk about physical damage reduction, specifically coming from armor, and the damage reduction from armor, it being bypassed by heavy hits and other things like that. There's been a lot of questions and thoughts and concerns are swirling around about if design intent, what's the point, and what's the purpose, and all this stuff. It feels too weak. It's all these things and all these different recommendations and ideas that people have on it, and what I think some of those would cause if they were implemented. I really wish these type of videos were made more by other TTRPGs, and that's why I wanted to create this channel even to talk about these types of things. Whenever I see enough murmurs about a certain topic or concept, I want to at least pull the curtain back and talk about the design intent as we are trying to nail down and polish this off. And maybe the things I say make you realize, oh wow, you know what? I really do like where it's at. Or maybe they don't, and now you're like, okay, well, let's play it out and then play with it and feel with it with these things in mind, and then we'll see if we're in a good spot or not. And that's the whole part of this alpha to beta to full release journey. So physical damage reduction reduces damage you take from hits, right? And it gets bypassed by heavy, brutal, and beyond, or whatever. So if your armor gets exceeded by, if your defense gets exceeded by 5, it no longer applies. So if you have one, let's just say you have 2 physical damage reduction, and you get hit for 3, and if it's just a regular hit, cool, that 3 goes down to a 1, nice. Or if you get hit for 2, you take no damage, nice. That's the whole, where it's supposed to shine, is when you get hit, not when you get heavy hit and bang, big, huge, heavy hits like that. It gets bypassed. So then if you got hit for 3, we'll keep it at 2. You have 2 physical damage reduction and you get hit for 2. Ooh, but it's a heavy hit, right? Ooh, it's a heavy hit. That means it deals +1 damage and bypasses that physical damage reduction. Bang, you got rocked, right? Cool. So you took 3 damage. It got bypassed. That's the whole idea. So a couple of things is why this is the case. The biggest thing is it cannot exist in the game. Damage reduction cannot exist in the game and it not get bypassed. We only bypass on critical strikes. That's too niche. That's too narrow of a situation. No, it would either be it gets bypassed by heavy or brutal. That's another thing we'll talk about at the end. Or it doesn't get bypassed at all. And if it doesn't get bypassed at all, first of all, that already exists in the game. Damage resist X whenever there's a number. So if there was physical damage resistance 2, physical damage resistance 2 would -2 from any source of damage you take. And that already is in the game. Maybe that will exist in spells and magic items and other things like that. Sure. But we're talking specifically about mundane, regular, like heavy armor and some other class features and stuff that can grant physical damage reduction in this way that is bypassable, right? If we were to change physical damage reduction to be bypassable, to not get bypassed at all, and you just always subtracted 2, it would break the game entirely. If you had 2 physical damage reduction, now any creature that deals 1 or 2 damage, you would be immune to. And that's scary. So if you have, let's say you get 2 physical damage reduction, which you can get at level 1. You can even, in some certain builds, you could get 3 damage reduction. Oh my gosh, right? So let's just say you have 3 damage reduction at level 1 or 2, super early in the game. So you have 3. That means a goblin with 1 dagger can't hurt you unless they crit. And even on a crit, they would only deal 2 damage, right? So I don't think that's healthy for the game in the slightest. I don't think that's good at all. And what that would cause is low damage enemies would not be able to literally hit the person in armor. That's not the idea. That's not the idea. Don't want them to be an immune tank of this caliber at level 1 from no. So then now we have, let's say we increase to 3 damage. They deal 3 damage. Well, now a creature that deals 3 damage on a hit still would deal no damage to this person. And on a heavy hit would deal 1 damage. Trust me, you guys don't want this. I'm telling you. I don't think that would be good for the game, because what it would also cause is now this creature that you've had to create to challenge the tank would absolutely one-shot and everyone else, right? So then we would run to a situation where you have to up the base damage to be able to hit, and it's just too much for the other party members, right? And if we did have it be not bypassable, now I would have to rebalance the game, and you're probably heavy armor would grant 1 physical damage reduction and no other features, no class features, no ancestry, nothing would else be granted, because it's that strong, because it's so strong if we do that, right? So I would much rather have damage reduction be able to be bypassed, which makes it weaker. Of course it does. and then be able to give it out more in more unique ways. Give it to heavy armor, sure. Give a heavy armor modification, yeah. Certain class features, yeah. All these types of things, and it be able to be given out more and be able to be reduced. Now the math on it, there's some other things. Jodo's done a great job of posting the math on it. Of one physical damage reduction is about equal to one physical defense, and what it also serves is if you get high enough. Let's say you have three. If you have three defense, if you have three physical damage reduction, then that's kind of like having 5 higher defense, because nothing at level 1 really shouldn't be. Nothing should be dealing 4 and beyond damage. So most enemies deal at 1 damage, and some enemies that are more dangerous deal 2. So for the majority of enemies you face, if you have 2 damage reduction, a hit against you is effectively a miss, which is effectively like you having 5 higher physical defense, because you took no damage from it, just as if you would have had higher physical defense. So they are connected in that way. And it's also, I see another concern raised about, in order for your PD physical damage reduction to be good, you have to have high PD. Well, I see that, I totally do, but it's not going to be that hard to get high PD, especially with the new armor update rework that happened. And there's people with not high agility still have some armor bonuses and other things like that. The armor disparity of PD between the two isn't going to be that big in the first place, so that it's not like this massive problem where, my physical defense is just so low. It scales with your level, it scales with your agility attribute, and also you can have armor modifications that bring it up even higher. And there's a flat base to it. So you're not going to have a big discrepancy between builds with focusing on PD and focusing on PDR. And especially in the consideration of, if you do have a ton of PDR, it's kind of like having 5 more physical defense, right? And so they are connected in this way, right? So next point is the thematics of it, right? So from a lore or a realism, verisimilitude, immersion, whatever aspect, I think armor being bypassed is absolutely a thing. There's an analogy made in the chat about a turtle, right? A turtle can get hit and they still don't. Well, you can. This is maybe this animal. There's plenty of weak spots in a turtle, and if you had a dagger or you're poking with a stick, that you would be able to put the holes of where the armor, the shell and the shell. I mean, yeah, if you bonk the top only, then yes, that's going to be very durable. But there's plenty of places where you can poke a turtle and it doesn't have that shell, right? Just like a person wearing whatever amount of heavy armor they have. If you're fighting somebody and they bypass your armor with a heavy, brutal whatever, yeah, you got rocked. Now, however you want to describe that is up to you. I think that leaves a great description, a great narration about this moment of a heavy hit, a brutal hit. How did it happen? Oh man, the dagger slipped between the plates of your armor and got you in the shoulder. Bypassing your armor. The mace hit you in the rib cage of your armor as you kind of you just swung, and then you get cracked in the side plates where the stitching is on your armor. Or maybe you get hit straight in the chest and it bends, like your armor literally dents in from this massive hammer that just hit you in the chest, bypassing your armor, right? So that's the idea, right? There's certain things that hit you so hard, it bypasses it. And I think that's a cool aspect of the game. And I would say, with all of this taken in mind, I want you to play the game and feel this out and see these moments and see how this happens. And yes, I know heavy hits and all these things are more prevalent and more available in DC20 because of advantage and possibilities and helping each other and all this type of stuff. Heavy hits do happen a lot, yes, for sure. But hits also happen as well. So then the other thing is the design goal of heavy armor being better. Yes, I want heavy armor to be better than light armor. And my original intent of this was probably more exaggerated than it is now. When I first created DC20, it was more of a, no, I want heavy armor to be just so much better than light armor. Yeah. So those people that gain access to heavy armor, it's going to be way better. And if you think back to the first version of the game, you had +3 to your physical defense and damage reduction, all this other kind of stuff, right? Whoa, wow, it has better PD and it has damage reduction. Whoa, right? It's definitely better. But I don't think that should be the case anymore, because what it does is it causes people who are building for tanks or are building for armor to just get to some ludicrous levels. We were having extremely high physical damage, extremely high tanks with huge health, huge physical defense, and huge physical damage reduction. whoa, right? And it was just creating this very extreme end that I don't think was healthy for the game. So bringing it in line, okay, cool. Now the armors are the same. They both give 1 physical defense. Heavy armor is still a notch better defensively because it gives you physical damage reduction, which is about equal to 1 physical defense, right? So it's just 1 notch better. Cool, right? And as certain classes gain access to it, but you don't have to jump through hoops to try and get it because you have to have heavy armor to be able to, you know what I'm saying? If you want to play a tank, you want to be a bit more durable, it's definitely better. But just 1 notch better, not 3 or multiple notches better, right? And then the accessibility of PD, physical defense is much easier to get. You can get it from agility, you can get it from have a whole formula that gives it to you, class features and stuff. Yes, there's different ways to get physical defense, and that's applicable to everybody. Cool. And it also ties in together, like we just mentioned before, physical damage reduction, which is trickier to get or more niche to get, but not too niche. Because if we did change it to where it's not bypassable, then I would have to pull it from lots of different aspects of the game because it'd be too strong. So at its current balance point right now, which is obviously weaker than it could be in all these other hypothetical, tweaks that could happen and stuff. I feel like it's in a great spot because right now it is 1-to-1 to PD, which is kind of where I want it to be, right? Mathematically, it's even to that. Another thing I think people forget about is spells. This is a rule that is, I think, overlooked a lot. So if I surprise you with this, I'm not surprised because spells deal half damage on a miss. You know how in D&D you cast a fireball and they make a dexterity save and it deals this much damage on a success and half damage when you succeed on the save, you take half damage. That whole concept, right? Mana is a very scarce, limited resource, powerful, etc. Part of spell casting is that misses, even when you cast a spell that deals damage and spends mana. If a spell spends mana and misses, it still deals half damage. Physical damage reduction, which is very powerful against spells and stuff, because you are insulated, you are protected, you have this stuff on you, you're going to be that damage reduced. So not only does it reduce all those hits, but it also reduces all those misses as well. And I think that's a big thing that people are not giving it enough credit for in general. So keep that in mind as well. So right now, PD and physical damage reduction and physical defense are exactly 1-to-1, which is where I want them to be. So mathematically, they're in a great spot right now. If I changed anything, I'd have to give it out more, which I don't think we would ever nerf it, or give it out less, which then now we don't have as many cool things to give out to heavy armor or different unique things like Turtle Stance Monk and stuff like that. And then lastly, the future of physical damage reduction. If there's a point later down the road of the design path, we're getting to, we've released all the classes, all the subclasses, and we're in a spot where we're like, okay, cool. We got monsters, balances coming out. Everything's like, all right, how does physical damage reduction feel? If down the road, physical damage reduction feels off, which mathematically right now it is proven to not be off. But if it does feel like we need to buff it or we want it to be stronger, maybe we want it to be not 1-to-1. Maybe we want it to be just a little depth for sure better. We could easily just change it to be, physical damage reduction gets bypassed on a brutal. There you go. That could even be a Game Master Guide. Oh, here we go. That could even be a Game Master's Guide variation rule of if you want physical damage reduction to be a bit stronger, you can have it be bypassed on brutal hits and beyond. It makes it way stronger. Careful, right? So I don't know if that would be a type of variant rule, but that would be something where we're like, all right, that's a knob we can change. But there's the pull behind the curtain. There's the behind the scenes on that. I hope this type of video helps the community kind of get all on the same page of what the intent is and then see how that feels. And if it does feel good, let me know. If it feels bad, let me know. Love you guys. Stay creative. Thanks in the box.